40 minutes after 7, you're welcome to my banner. Edward Kwesi Akuoko has taken his seat, so straight away I want to jump into his issues. They are asking for big things, if you ask me. We'll ask them to break it down for you. Good morning to you. Thank you.
Good morning, Mama V. How are you?
I'm very well. So the Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining ASM Africa Network, of which you represent, you're asking for a good number of things. Can we start with the political parties? Clearly, you know that 2016 is just around the corner. Political parties will present their manifestos. What are you asking for? What's your business with political parties?
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to your dear listeners. I think that you hit the nail right on the head. The timing is right. We believe that in Ghana today, every sector that needs anything from policymakers or decision makers for that matter needs to look at your timing and know when to ask for what, because that is when you are bound to get what you want. And as industry players within the ASM sector, we believe that the artisanal and small-scale mining, as we call it ASM, deserves a lot of attention. The sector has been neglected for so long a time, and that is what even led to, you know, the degradation of the environment, which necessitated the formation of the Interministerial Task Force, etc. So we believe that the timing is now. And why are we asking? We think that if you're looking at a sector that is capable of giving Ghana a third, virtually about 1.4 million ounces of gold a year out of the total gold output of Ghana, then we think that that sector deserves, you know, some bit of attention. And so that is the more reason why this time we are focusing on the politicians. And indeed, they cause, you know, the tunes. They play the piper. And so they are the policymakers. We think that they must actually give us an ear.
Wouldn't you be, because are you expecting all the political parties to think about you, to make provision for you? Because if we have one party responding and the others not, it would make your organization political, wouldn't it?
Exactly the point. And so if you look at our statement, we directed it to all the political parties, especially the two major ones. For now, they have the tendency of winning elections. They stand a better chance or the probability of winning elections. And so the two major political parties, what we are asking for is that we want to see specific, you know, clauses in their manifestos informing the ASM sector as to how best they want to address that sector. And Mama V, I'll tell you one thing. You know, we believe that small-scale miners have been taken for granted for quite a long time. If you look at the composition of our membership, virtually most of them are in the rural areas. That's where they do this galamsey and small-scale mining.
Most of your operations are illegal also?
Most of most of the members within the galamsey area, they're for the majority. If you look at one of the clauses of our statement, we said that, look, majority of our players are within the informal sector. About 80 to 90% of the operators are illegal. No doubt about that. It's a fact. But let's not forget, the government does not refuse to buy their products. These people produce and they sell them to PMMC. And at the end of the day, they add up to the aggregate, you know, production numbers. And then government is proud to say that the ASM sector produced 35% of total gold outputs. So we are saying that, look, governments or various political parties who have the power to, you know, or who have the chances of forming governments in future should tell us how they are going to formalize this sector. If we believe that when you formalize it, then we are not going to lose taxes. At the moment, all these people are not paying taxes. And government, as at now, keeps craving for the fact that a lot of the people are not paying taxes in the country. We need to expand the tax there. So why don't we tell us clear-cut policies how best we can formalize? Anytime there is elections, you have politicians going to these rural areas, meet these galamsey beers, and at that time, they court them, they become their friends. They tell them, oh, you vote for us. As soon as you vote for us, we'll find ways by which you can have the opportunity to work. As soon as they get the power, they call them illegal, they vent, you know, a military or security men on them, and they try to deny them of their livelihood. We think that times are past. Let the politicians now come clear to tell us how they are going to formalize the sector. If they do that, then as soon as you form a government, we'll begin to hold you by your own, you know, policies and programs, as it has happened in various sectors.
But do you think they will give, you know, a backing to something that is not legal?
My dear, you know what? One thing we need to learn as a country is that a lot of things will start from state of illegality before they become legal. In any case, who makes something illegal? It is our own people as a country, we sit down and we say that, look, let those who do these things be called legal, and let those who do this become
But
illegal.
don't forget that your actions, even though you contribute to the nation, we get it, but your actions also hurts the nation.
Exactly
in a
the
lot of
point
ways.
why, when you read our statement, we have said that we want these political parties also to come out with clear-cut environmental policies that they will use to remedy the impact of small-scale mining on the environment. We are not just concerned about, doing business, but we are saying that, look, it's a matter of policy failure. That's why we are where we are today. Let me tell you what, even with the work of, after the work of the Interministerial Task Force, you realize that most of the pits are still abandoned till today, over a year now. As of today, as a country, my dear, we don't even know the way forward. And I expect some of you sometimes to call the Secretary Minister to tell them that, look, after all this work that you did with the task force, there are still a lot of abandoned pits in the villages, along the highways, which are lying fallow. And these are seven of
But you see, the other issue is that you go and dig something and you expect government to come and cover up for you.
It is because, you see, the system itself is not motivating for the people, first of all, to have regularized their activities, to have done things right. You see,
so I guess we're going back to regularize the
exactly.
activities.
It comes back to formalization. You see, once you have a formalized system, you're going to have guidelines which will tell you, once you start operations, you're supposed to do A, B, C, D, and after operations, you're supposed to do A, B, C, D. You see, so once you don't have proper regulations and guidelines which are workable, this is what you're going to have.
So let's go back to the point where during elections, or in election years, you have some of the political parties go to some of these areas to talk to some of your members.
Exactly.
And they make promises to them.
Exactly.
Why don't they hold them to the promises they make?
Yeah, but what would be the basis of you holding them? You see, politicians, are fond of saying so many things, and at the end of the day, most of these people even don't have the capacity to even record them or anything. So you ask them, they will even tell you they didn't say so. But we are thinking that, look, if you are serious as a political party and you want to actually address some of these challenges, you should let them appear clearly in your policy document, which is your manifesto. That is where we know you are committed. And this has happened in several sectors in Ghana. As we speak now, I believe that there is no single political party who will not tell Ghanaians how they are going to remedy or stop future occurrence of doomsday in Ghana, because it's a very important issue to them. So we believe that if the ASM sector is very dear to the heart of the political parties, they must come out clearly with policies that will tell us how they are going to formalize the sector and develop it. Because let me tell you what, currently Ghana is suffering from a lot of foreign exchange losses because of the reduction in gold prices. Most of the large-scale mining companies are folding up. But let me tell you, one sector that could have cushioned the economy is the small-scale mining sector, because we also produce the same gold, yet our cost of productions are very low compared to large-scale mining companies. So you can hardly hear a small-scale mining company fold up because of increased costs. Because virtually the way we operate, our cost of production is virtually low.
But do you produce the same kind of quantity in terms of the volumes that these large operators
would? Yeah, but that's
would?
what I'm telling you. We produce almost a third. And if you look at, the fact that we have a lot of inefficiencies, we have a lot of, limited capacity, they are using a lot of sophisticated technology and equipment. So we think that if government gives an eye, an ear to us and develop the sector, perhaps we can even produce about half of the total production, of almost 50%. And you see, the small-scale mining sector is also the sector that gives a lot of jobs to our people. If you look at the large scale, they are virtually, capital intensive, and they are, mechanized. But the small-scale mining is labor intensive. We produce a lot of, employment for the local people.
Yeah, but it's also usually not safe for some of your members because of the way
it all boils down to policies.
So I'm thinking, if you regularize it, you'll be spending as much as you're spending right now, or on the large scale mining
research have
industries.
shown, there are a lot of formalized ASMs around the world, but research have shown that ASMs virtually don't spend like the large scale companies. Most of these large scale companies, even the cost of their expatriate workers alone are huge. ASMs don't pay any expatriate costs. You understand? We are using local content technology to work.
So you've been talking this regularization for a while now. Why do you think that governments or the institutions who are supposed to make this work are refusing?
I wouldn't say they are refusing, but I think it boils down to political will. basically you realize that Ghana has had some challenges with this mining policy, which incorporates the aspects of ASM. But I think that the policy has been in the offing for a while. Recently, we were told that the policy is at the cabinet level or in parliament, I think one of those areas. So I think that gradually we are getting there. What we need to do is to continuously drum home. You know, some of these things, you don't get them on a silver platter. And that's the work we are doing with assistance of media houses like you, so that they will continue to hear us. Because we believe that there are a lot of issues in the ASM sector that needs attention. I mean, one of them is the fact that, look, we as ASM operators are worried about the technology that we use to extract gold, even as at now, the mercury technology. As at now, Ghana has signed onto the Minamata Convention, which, you know, expects us for some years to come to stop the use of mercury. But as of now, we are yet to see even Ghana develop its own country action plan as far as the implementation of the Minamata Convention is concerned. So all these are part of our demands that, look, let the political parties come out clearly to tell us. Let them also engage us so that we know that this time they take us seriously. Because we don't want a situation whereby the politician will realize that, look, the Galamseyers all have votes. Although at that time they fail to recognize that they are illegal. They go to them, give them various assurances. Oh, don't worry, when we come, we will let you work, we'll help you to work. As soon as they get political power, they say, you people are illegal. We cannot allow you to be destroying the environment. Meanwhile, they were destroying the environment. Some of them, the politicians, even go to the fields, the very fields where the environment is being destroyed.
To campaign.
To meet them and to campaign. You see, so this time, we want to hold them by their words.
So the point is this, there's a ministry responsible for the sector already.
Exactly.
There's also the Minerals Commission. What is it that you're not getting from these two that you're calling for, if possible, a whole minister to be dedicated to the sector?
Well, thank you, Mama. You see, we believe that the sector ministry, though, might be doing its best, but we think that they are too large-scale biased, and their concentration and focus is so much on the large scale. And so we believe that it will not be too much to ask for a ministry, but if even for a start that is not feasible, what we believe is very feasible by every government is to appoint at least one of the deputy ministers to be in charge of small-scale mining. And we do not think that is too much to ask for.
What difference would that make?
The difference that will make is that will give priority attention. That deputy minister will focus. He will have to come out with a program and a policy to develop the sector. There will be that attention. I mean, I'll give you a typical example. We used to have the Agric Ministry in Ghana, but when it came to a time when government wanted to pay particular attention to fisheries, they appointed a deputy minister in charge. And even today, we've gone to the extent of now having a minister, a whole minister, in charge of fisheries.
And there are challenges with the ministry as we speak.
Of course, there are challenges everywhere. And with every initiative you take, there are challenges. Mama V, don't you even have challenges raising your children? There are challenges everywhere. So for me, having a challenge is not an excuse. What rather we need to do is to give the sector that attention. And we are saying that, look, government can actually appoint a deputy minister in charge of small-scale mining. Looking at the amount of degradation that is going on as a result of the activities of small-scale mining, my dear, if you want to quantify the cost, it will not be too much to give the sector a deputy minister, so that that deputy minister will focus his attention on how best to mitigate the environmental impact, and then also to develop the sector, to create more jobs for our people, and to develop the sector.
You're also asking for financial support. I mean, you have enough money from the operations that you make already.
No, we're asking for financial and technical support. You know, one of the challenges of the sector is that, like you rightly mentioned, safety. It's got to do with technical knowledge. Most of the members are too raw in their operations. They don't have any technical knowledge, know-how. What we are saying is that because the small-scale mining is also done by most of these grassroots people, government needs to come out with some bit of support for them. And you see, financial support as well, because the industry is capital intensive. Yes, there's so much money in it, but you need money to get the money. You understand? And where do these people get the money from? That explains why most of these people are partnering with so many foreigners, you know, in the sector. And so we are saying that as one of the ways to, you know, remove the involvement of foreigners, you know, from the sector, government needs to come out with some technical and financial support. Not necessarily liquid cash, but government can set up a plant pool. You know, government can have its own excavators, tipper trucks, bulldozers, and then they can, you know, have them in the various mining districts where the small-scale miners can go there and rent them. You understand? And they use them. And then once these equipments are coming from government, then government can also ensure that we don't give them out to people who are not regularized. So these equipment will only go to places where they have legitimacy to work. And we believe that these are all feasible. They are very, very feasible.
Why are you directing it solely at governments?
My dear, governments have the power. You and I, what can we do? All we can do is to talk and to advocate and to push and to demand. But at the end of the day, we pay taxes for governments to develop us. And so what we are saying is that, look, governments have the power, governments have the authority to develop us and to organize our legal framework for us. And so we need to push them. We need to push them.
What are you doing for yourselves?
What we are doing for ourselves is first of all to accept the fact that we believe there are challenges. Currently, we as a civil society group in the sector, we do a lot of education for our members. We do a lot of sensitization. Just last week, there was a program organized by the Africa Center for Economic Transformation at La Palm, where we were there, and we told them, look, I mean, such forums are good to even educate the small-scale miner to appreciate the importance of the environment. Because if the small-scale miner knows that when the last tree dies, he himself will also die, the small-scale miner will be environmentally conscious. If the small-scale miner knows that when the river body dies and when aquatic culture dies, it can affect his very existence, he will also be conscious. So we are doing our best to sensitize our members to appreciate the need to preserve the environment. But that notwithstanding, you see, it's a whole linkage, it's a chain. We need other people to work with, and government is a major stakeholder. The regulators, the Minerals Commission, the EPA, they are major stakeholders. And so we also have to direct our grievances to them, since they control the resources, they control the purse, to also help us in resolving our issues.
So since you issued a statement, I'm sure you sent copies to the political parties.
Exactly.
Probably too early yet, but have you had any, have they given you any feedback?
Not yet, but we believe we'll have some feedback from
them. Did anybody call to acknowledge receipts of your statements?
Not yet, not yet, but we believe they will. Because like you said, it's too early. The statement just came out yesterday, and so we believe it's too early, but let's hope that they will.
But you probably, tried to put your ears to the ground to listen to a few things before you even went ahead with the statement. What did you hear?
Well, what we hear is that, you see, most of the political parties are ready to engage. I mean, what they are saying is that, look, if you people will come out with your demands, we'll also be ready to engage you.
Okay.
And that's why we felt that the timing is now. And in fact, it will not just end at this statement, but we'll chase them wherever there are political forums. We will go there and we'll tell them, we wrote letters to you. We want to know what pragmatic steps are you taking to factor our demands into your policy document. And I am assuring you that at the end of the day, by the end of the year, when the various political parties come out with their manifestos, we will scrutinize them and we will hold the political parties. Those who fail to acknowledge us, we will criticize them, we will chastise them, we will take them on.
Are you expecting them to make provision for you in the next elections?
Exactly so. Exactly so, because this is the time. The elections is next year, and this year most of the political parties will be finalizing or reviewing their manifestos. The manifestos are dynamic documents. They are not stagnant, so they'll be reviewing them, and we expect them to pay particular attention to ASM, especially due to the challenges that the sector faced in the last 2 years. The ASM sector was one of the most challenged sectors we had in Ghana. If you look at the role of the Interministerial Task Force vis-a-vis allegations of distraction, looting, etc., we think that the sector demands some attention. Because seriously, we do not want to witness the kind of abuses that we saw as a result of the work of the task force. We don't want to see that again.
Are you going to campaign against a political party that does not make provision for you?
We will not necessarily campaign for you, but we'll tell our people that, look, vote for the political parties that care for you. Simple.
Really?
Exactly. Everybody is thinking of his interests now.
So you're going to support the political party that considers you in their manifesto.
Exactly.
And you're going to campaign, you're going to tell your members to vote for them.
Mama V, that's exactly what we'll go do. Don't you listen to the Association of Industries. When it's election time, they go to the political party, they tell you, look, we want to see your policies that will promote industry, the growth of industry. And invariably, they will not tell you that if you don't do, we won't vote for you. But once they demand that you cater for them, it should tell you, the political party, that you are bound to win their support and sympathy if you cater for them. So let them know you care.
So let me get an understanding of how large the sector is. So in other words, I'm asking, how many members do you have?
Well, conservative figures, and these figures were even computed some 3-4 years ago, where estimates were that about 1 million people were directly employed. But we believe that indirectly, not less than 5 million people indirectly are employed within the sector.
Amazing.
Because if a million people are directly employed, most of these people who are employed, you know, have wives, they have children. You have the value chain of people who are selling at various mining sectors. You have the suppliers to us. You have the filling stations who supply fuel to these people. You have the people who supply the equipment, the chamfine, the excavator dealers, etc. And so we believe that the sector, you know, employs a lot of people.
That's a good number of votes.
Exactly. And it's enough for any political party also to win power.
Isn't that the kind of pressure the president was talking about recently? When you know election, the year is coming close, you make demands and you force them to get involved in some of these things.
Well, but it is not natural because, you see, that's the kind of democratic system we operate. The system is such that you only have a better view, or you only have a better chance of getting what you want during the election time, because that is where the politician pays better attention to you. You know, sometimes it happens that even prior to the elections, if you want to even meet a presidential candidate, I'm telling you, he will grant you audience. But let us finish the elections and you want to see the president, and you see the kind of bureaucratic process you have to go through. Sometimes you might not even get a chance at all. So we feel that the timing is now, and we want to take our due.
So you're just taking advantage of the situation?
Thank you, Mama V. It's not the situation we are taking about, but the process.
Okay.
The election process is such that this is the time politicians are bound to listen to you.
All right. Thank you
And
so
we
much
also
for your
want to do
time.
that.
I see where you're coming from. Edward Kwesi Akuoko has been my guest. I hope that you enjoyed every bit of this one. Stay on for Roland Walker. He's got the talk.